nangangaliwa sa isang relasyon is this grounds for divorce. Paano pag Pilipino tayo? Alam naman natin walang divorce sa Pilipinas. Paano na? Do we put up with this? Let's open it up to the panel of women that are here today. Okay, so cheating. It happens in a relationship. When you are not married, Kat, yes. If you find out that your partner is cheating, is it something that makes you all of a sudden, okay, I'm out? Because it's easier said than done, correct?
Yes, I think it's easier said than done. I think it all depends on the couple. I know for me, I would probably be able to stay in the relationship, but I wouldn't forget. And so it would always be in my mind. So I don't think I would be able to stay with that person personally. But I have friends and family that have stayed and have been able to work it out.
Okay. Yeah. Allison, what do you think about that? Cheating.
Yeah, that's a lot. I think that I would agree. I think that rather than honoring the cheating, I think that you have to decide whether you want to still be in that relationship. If you do want to be in that relationship, do you want to put in the work to understand, was the cheating an isolated incident or is it part of a larger thing? And then just to, throw down into the panel, then there's also these new kind of conversations about how people are identifying their relationships. And so maybe if it's like, I cannot be solely committed to just one person, maybe you have a complex relationship agreement where you might have a primary partner, but then you agree it's open, and so you might be able to be with other people. Mm-hmm. So I know, I actually, in my dating life, was in we named it as polyamorous, and I was dating someone who was also in another relationship, and as part of all these relationships, we had lots of agreements about how we would spend time together, when we would spend time together. I mean, I think it also helped that we weren't living on the same coast, so there was that. But it was a very complex process. Right. But even within all those agreements, there's still cheating that could happen because then you're not following the guidelines or the rules that everybody agrees to in that process.
I'm sure kababayans are going, hi, Diyos, ano ba yan? Ano ba yan? But come on, let's face it, it happens, and it happens a lot, and we need to talk about it. And what happens is sometimes it happens in your own backyard. Diba, kaibigan mo, yung asawa mo, palang, aba, may nangyayari na pala, diba? So pag-usapan natin yan. When I personally know of a couple, they're married, but the woman actually is able to carry other relationships with other people, and her husband knows. I think it's about communication, and I know this is not for everyone, obviously, pero you need to talk about it, and that's what we're encouraging everybody that's watching. Pag-usapan natin, because we're not advocating for, oh, this is right and this is wrong. No. We're just merely talking about it, right? Carol, how do you feel about the double standard? You were mentioning na sa Pilipinas kapag ang lalaki ang nangaliwa, the penalties are less severe kung ang babae ang mangaliwa.
From what I read and heard, pag ang lalaki may affair, may second family, it's called, the term is concubinage. Mm-hmm. Pero if it's the woman who has an affair, it's called adultery. And it carries a heavier stigma and penalty and all that. Bakit ganon? Hindi ba kung pareho silang nangangaliwa, that means they're not honoring their vows to each other. Mm-hmm. And it should have the same weight. Bakit mas mabigat kung babae ang nangaliwa kesa sa lalaki? What's that about?
Yeah. Tita Norma, I know you're nagpipigil ka dito, pero alam ko, you feel very passionate about this.
I feel very passionate about it.
You went through this, right?
I went through a divorce, and the funny part was when I got divorced, like, how the hell did it happen? They look married, happily married.
So may facade, may facade,
yes.
They're very happily married,
diba? Very happily married. But the truth was, I made the choice to be quiet. I carried my cross with a smile because Catholic ako. If my God went through Calvary, Gethsemane, and I'm going to carry my cross with a smile, again, I'm going back to what I said earlier. It's not worth it because your emotional makeup is, you pay a high price for that. Sometimes you pay the price for the rest of your life, and even when you remarry, you're still paying a price because you get damaged. So that's what you avoid, is when you reach that stage. But when you're young, and with the culture, the Filipino culture, do you know the price that you pay? Do you know the meaning of being damaged emotionally and mentally? No, you don't.
But you put up with that
I put up with-
relationship 20 years.
20 years of unhappily married, but then if you look at us, we
Hindi
look-
mo makikita.
We look perfect. But there's such a thing as, kung hindi ka kinakausap ng asawa mo ng isang buwan, is that a form of abuse from a Filipino culture, from the cultural standpoint? It's not.
Right. So there
But
are,
it is
Yes.
an abuse.
So there-
that is an abuse.
there's a lot of kinds of abuse.
Yes.
Hindi lang domestic na
Hindi
binubugbog
lang.
ka,
Oh,
di ba?
Hindi ka kausapin. O kaya withholding affection. Nag-react ka kung hindi ko maalala ang ating anniversary, ha? I'll get even with you.
Ay, nako. Okay, pag-uusapan natin yan. Abuse when we return
Yes.
in a relationship. Let's talk about it here on Kababayan Today. Don't go away.